My name is Eric Norton. I'm on staff here at McMillan Library. I'm also part of the United Way Hunger Coalition. So on behalf of both of those, I'd like to welcome you here this afternoon. One important sort of housekeeping note. We just started renovating the restrooms on our lower level today. So if you actually need to use the restroom, you'll have to go upstairs into our adult rooms to find those. So apologies, but how things go. And then I think I will let Emily introduce herself and tell you what today's all about.
Thank you, Eric. Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes. All right. Well, thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedules to join me today to go over a presentation we've called Understanding Underemployment. This is also information from the United Way ALICE report for the state of Wisconsin. I'm going to be going over some detailed information with you from the report today. I'm not going to be going into detail about everything in the report because it's there is quite a bit of information, so if you think of some questions along the way, please let me know. The report is available through our website as well, and I can share that information with you at the end of the day. We're going to be going through some information, and then we're going to be doing an activity this afternoon, and then we will be all done. So we are going to get started. In 2016, which was 6 years after the end of the Great Recession, many households in the state of Wisconsin were still struggling to find jobs, and also jobs that had enough wages and long enough hours to cover their basic monthly household expenses. Over 33% of households in the state of Wisconsin could not afford basic needs. So this report focuses on how Wisconsin residents did post-recession from 2010 to 2016. So this is, and just real quick, there is a concert going on next door, so that's not part of the PowerPoint presentation. So if you hear that it's distracting or you can't hear me, just let me know, we'll adjust the volume. So today we are meeting ALICE. ALICE is a United Way acronym which stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. These are individuals who could be child care workers. They could be a parent on Social Security. I just lost my mic pack, sorry about that. Do you still have sound back there? Okay. It could be the cashier at your supermarket. It could be the gas attendant, the salesperson at the big box store. It could be a home health care aide or an office clerk, just to give you some examples. These individuals are working, but they are not necessarily making enough to afford the basic household necessities of housing, food, transportation, healthcare, and child care. They are one unexpected car bill or medical emergency away from spiraling into a financial crisis. These individuals are earning above the federal poverty level, but may be making too much to receive assistance from programs. This report uses new measures to provide a more accurate picture of financial insecurity in the state, county, and municipal level. So, time for some interaction. Who can tell me what they see in this picture? You can go ahead and shout it out. We don't have to raise hands. A swimmer?
Water.
Water?
Person drowning.
Person drowning, okay.
Cool.
Right. So sometimes when we're looking at an individual, we aren't necessarily seeing the whole picture. And this is what the ALICE report is helping to do. It's helping to see the bigger picture and widen our scope of understanding of what these individuals and households are going through. So the Wisconsin ALICE report was written by Stephanie Hoops. She was the lead researcher, and this is the list of the ALICE Research Advisory Committee for the Wisconsin report. We're going to be talking about what it costs to live in Wisconsin. I like to point out that we'll be referring to the federal poverty level quite a bit in the presentation. So the federal poverty level is listed at $11,880 for a single adult and $24,300 for a family. The graphic that you see here is called the Household Survival Budget. This is for the Wisconsin state average. So it's looking at what it costs for housing, childcare, food, transportation, healthcare, technology, miscellaneous, and taxes in order to sustain themselves in the state. It is important to note that the minimum wage is $7.25 per hour, which is, if they're working full-time, that's giving them an annual income of $14,500. So looking at the graphic here for a single adult, in order for them to sustain, to be able to afford the household necessities for the survival budget, they're going to need to be working full-time, making at least $9.92 an hour, or an annual income of $19,848. For a family of 4, and throughout this presentation, the family of 4 will be defined as 2 adults, an infant, and a preschool-age child. That household would need to make at least $30.81 per hour working full-time, which calculates to $61,620 annually. It is important to note, there's a little, I don't know if you can see, there's a little asterisk here by technology. Because cell phones have become such an important role for workers, this was actually included in the household survival budget with this report. So that technology is giving an allowance to every adult in the household for a smartphone. So let's look at the household survival budget and where these numbers are coming from. So these were the sources used to put together the household survival budget, and it calculates the actual cost of basic necessities in Wisconsin adjusted by different counties and household types. So when we're talking about housing, they're referring to HUD's 40th rent percentile for a 2-bedroom apartment, which includes all their utilities, whether paid by the landlord, owner, or the tenant. In regards to childcare, they're referring to home-based childcare for an infant and a preschooler. For food, they're utilizing the Thrifty level, which is the lowest of 4 levels of the U.S. Department of Agriculture food plans. For transportation, they're referring to the operating car expense of having a vehicle, which includes gas and motor oil and other vehicle maintenance expenses. It is important to note this does not include a monthly payment to keep that vehicle. And then again, as I said previously, technology, a smartphone, using the Consumer Reports Best Low cell phone plans is how they got those numbers. And then for miscellaneous, it's 10% of the total, including taxes to cover the cost overruns. This does not include putting any money in a savings account or putting any money aside. So what does it cost to live in Wood County? Again, this is an average for the county. For a single adult, they would need to be working full-time, earning a minimum of $9.92 an hour, or a total annual income of $19,836. And for a family of 4, working full-time with earning $30.70 per hour, or an annual income of $61,404. So just as a reminder, the federal poverty level for a single adult is $11,800, and the poverty level for a family of 4 is $24,300. Throughout the rest of this presentation, I'm going to be using a term called the ALICE threshold, and what that is any household in the state of Wisconsin that is an individual that is not making at least this amount here, the $19,836, or for a family, the $61,404, they are below the ALICE threshold. So any households that are not earning at least these amounts here, or are in poverty, those are going to be below the ALICE threshold. So how has financial hardship looked? Well, it's increasing over time. This is a graph here showing you of from 2010 all the way through 2016. The dark blue, and this is going to be pretty common on a lot of the graphics we'll be looking at the rest of the day. The dark blue represents the poverty levels, those living in poverty. And then the kind of lighter blue is going to be representing those ALICE families. So again, they're working, but they're not earning enough to cover the cost of those basic household necessities. So we did see that there was an increase in the number of ALICE households. In 2010, it was at 37%. In 2016, it was up to 38%. Also, it is important to note that the total number of households increased also by almost 41,000 households from 2010 to 2016. So now we're going to take a look at where Alice households are living in Wisconsin. Does anyone have any guesses where Alice may be living? Milwaukee, right around us, I heard. Cities. Okay. Rural. Okay. Alice is living across the state. So in 2000, what this picture is showing you is the percentage of households that were below that Alice threshold. So again, not making enough money to cover those household necessities or in the poverty level. So this shows you 2010's numbers by counties as if the county is darker, that means it's a higher percentage of households living below the Alice threshold. 2016, you see the entire state, for the most part, has gotten darker. There is another resource that I'd like to share with you real quick. For those of you who may be serving more than Wood County, if you go to the unitedwayalice.org, you can actually pull up the different states. There are about 13 states that have participated in the Alice studies. And what you can do is, this is a great interactive tool. You can actually move your little mouse over and it will pull up that county's information for you. So we're in Wood County. It's showing us the total households, what the percentage of poverty is, the percentage of Alice. So that's at 34%, and then above the Alice threshold is 66%. So only 66% of households are earning enough to cover basic costs for those household necessities. So again, if you are serving, if you're curious about what our neighboring counties look like, I invite you to look at this resource. If you have any questions after, if you need the website again, I can give it to you after the presentation. Get back up here. Okay. So now we're taking a look where Alice is living in the state of Wisconsin. Now we're going to take a look at the demographics of Alice households, beginning with the ages. Can everyone see these graphics okay? Okay, good. All right, so on the left here, this house is representing the total number of households in Wisconsin from 2010 to 2016. And from 2010 to 2016, there was overall a 2% increase of the number of households. We covered that earlier in the presentation. What this is doing here is it is telling us, it is separating the households by age. So households that are headed under 25-year-olds is represented here. 25 to 44-year-olds here, 45 to 64 years here, and over 65 years down here. What the house on the right is representing is, of these households over here, how many of them are living below the Alice threshold. So we saw a decrease in households headed by 25 years or younger. You see a decrease of those households. 9% less are not living below the Alice threshold. For the 25 to 44-year-olds, 4% are not living below the Alice threshold. However, if you look at the 45 to 64-year-old households, there was a 5% increase, and there's a huge jump with senior households. 23% of these households are below the Alice threshold. They're not able to afford the basic costs for living. All right, so far we're seeing that Alice it's all over the state, it's all over different ages of households, and now this is just sharing some information about races and ethnicities. Alice does not discriminate. It is found in all different racial ethnic groups. These are some highlights of some of the statistics from 2010 to 2016. Some of these to point out. Hispanic to 45-year-olds, Alice households increased by 55%, and Hispanic 65 and older households by 83%. Asian 45 to 64-year-old households increased by 29%, and Asians 65 years and older increased by 42%. All right, now we're going to be looking at Alice households and how they vary by family type. it is important to see here that the single or cohabitating, which is this group right here, this is the most common type of household in Wisconsin. It represents 49% of the households. But I'd like it to take a moment to focus on the senior households. Because the senior households, 42% are living below the ALICE threshold. It's important to understand the financial challenges that seniors face. They are the largest population in the US, and as people age, their health issues can start to deteriorate, along with associated costs of care. Even with Social Security and Medicare, many seniors struggle financially. And that household survival budget that we were looking at, that is looking at a senior that is working and healthy. So even though they have Social Security and Medicare, many seniors are struggling financially, and that is seen here with this graphic here. We saw earlier a large increase of senior households and a decrease in the head of households that were 25 years and younger. Now we're going to look and see how families are changing throughout the state. So this right here is showing you the different family types and the total number of households in the state of Wisconsin from 2010 to 2016. And then this is broken down by those who are living below the ALICE threshold. So there was a decrease in married couple and a decrease in the single female-headed households, but there was a slight increase in the single male-headed households. Almost 1/3 of all Wisconsin families with children had income below the ALICE threshold. Also, something to think about too is the cost of childcare. Anyone in here have kids? Had kids? Have kids? Oops, this kind of went, I don't know what happened there. So for the household survival budget, childcare accounts for 24% of Wisconsin's family budget. That's actually well above the 10% affordability threshold established by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. For many ALICE households, 24% of the earned income is still not enough to cover basic costs of childcare. There are programs that are available. There's the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Head Start program and Wisconsin Early Education Program. They put about $108 million towards supporting families with young children. And nonprofits also provide additional resources for these families. But and that equated to about $87.2 million. So with that $108 million and the $87.2 million, even with that support, Wisconsin households below the ALICE threshold still had less than half of what they needed to afford for basic child care in 2016. So now we're going to look, because my slide jumped ahead here, we're going to be looking at how much people are earning in Wisconsin. 62% of the jobs, as you can see in this graphic here, are making less than $20 an hour. 61% of those jobs are making less than $15 an hour. Again, and as a reminder, for a single adult to be able to sustain themselves and be able to afford those household necessities, they need to be working full-time, earning $9.92 per hour, and a family of four needs to be earning $30.81 per hour, working full-time. So we're going to take a closer look now at the top 20 occupations in Wisconsin in the year 2016. Does anyone have a guess as to what the #1 occupation was? I wish I had candy. I would be able to throw it out to people to guess.
In terms of numbers or wages?
In terms of numbers.
Retail.
Retail. You are correct. Very good. So yes, these were the top 20 occupations by employment and wage in Wisconsin in 2016. So on the way top here, we've got retail salespersons. Number of jobs available was 85,100 with the median hourly wage of $10.13. ALICE is also referred to as the maintainers. They're caring for the workforce and they're helping to build and maintain the infrastructure as well. When you're looking at these numbers here of the median hourly rate wages, It's important to point out that only 2 of these top 20 occupations pay enough to be able to support a family of 4 with a household survival budget. And those 2 are the registered nurse and the general and operations managers. All the other jobs do not make enough to support a family of 4 when we're looking at that household survival budget. Yep.
And I'm assuming that number of jobs, this isn't just full-time jobs, is it?
I do not think so, no. Good question. All right, so we looked at what people are making. Let's look at small firms versus large firms because that makes an impact as to how much people are earning as well. So this is showing you a graphic of the total number of jobs and also firm size with their average annual wage. So on the bottom here, this represents firm sizes of 0 to 19 employees, and their median annual salary is $30,660. If you go to the next tier up, that's going to be 20 to 49 employees with a median of $35,280. For 50 to 249 employees, the median annual wage is usually $39,492. And then with 250 to 499 employees, the $43,536. Large firms are considered 500 or more employees, and their average annual wage is $49,656. Should come to no surprise that small firms have lower wages, fewer benefits, and higher turnover. Any ideas as to where the large firms are located in our state?
Southeast.
Southeast Wisconsin? So this is showing you a graphic of the percent of employment by firm size. So if the firm had fewer than 20 employees, the more those firms, they're going to be in a darker blue. And then for the 500 or more employees, the more of those, they're going to be in the darker blue. So kind of more in those more urban areas, not so much in rural areas. Employment in large firms is higher in the urban areas, and employment in small firms is higher in rural areas. All right, so we've been looking quite a bit at the demographics of Alice, what their households look like, and also where they're living. There are some, from the report, there's quite a bit of information talking about some of the emerging trends that are being found in Wisconsin. The first one is talking about the changing American household. As we saw, there were quite an increase of senior households and a decrease in those households headed by 25 years or younger. Millennials millennials have a different lifestyle. They're not as inclined to settle down and get married and start having children. And they are preferring to reside in more urban areas than rural areas. Baby boomers are living longer than previous generations, and they are remaining involved in their communities, but with living longer, their health costs, care costs are increasing. In regards to migration in and out of the state, there's quite a bit of migration coming in from the Minnesota and Illinois area and other Midwestern states, but it's mostly that 18 to 24-year-old range, so college students coming in. The report does go over some information in regards to immigration. Immigrants do play a key role with our economy in our state. There's a lot of entrepreneurs and those who are working a lot of those maintainer jobs as well. In regards to the market instability, there's quite a bit of discussion in regards to technology and what impact that's having on our workforce. There's something they refer to as the gig economy. So as technology is increasing and they are finding new ways to do things, that means that people could be losing their jobs. Dependent on how much that new job pays with the new technology, it may not be enough to help offset the cost that the individual will need to get training for to be able to do that new job with that new technology. There's also talk about the contingent workforce. It enables a company to scale up or down more nimbly, but then subjects workers to unexpected losses or gains with their hours. and this could reduce their chance of receiving benefits. Some jobs, benefits are dependent upon how many hours you work. So if your hours are getting fluctuated, you may not be working enough hours to receive those benefits. We're also seeing a lot of, they're also talking about on-demand jobs like TaskRabbit, Uber, and Lyft. Has everyone heard of those three? Does everyone know? I did not know what TaskRabbit was. Okay, so TaskRabbit is kind of like, it kind of goes side and side with like Angie's List. You can actually hire people to come and do cleaning or go pick up your groceries for you. So it's like a houseworking form of an Uber or Lyft. And then Uber and Lyft are just transportation companies where you can pay to get a ride somewhere. So it's great that we have all of those jobs, but there may be people who can't afford a car to drive to those places or have a car to even be an Uber or Lyft driver. Talking about the future jobs, as we saw in the top 20 available positions in 2016, a lot of those did not pay a working livable salary. So there's quite a bit of discussion about we have jobs, but there may not necessarily be paying enough for individuals to be able to support themselves. In regards to growing inequality of health, cost of and access to healthcare, this is something that is happening as cost continues to increase, the effectiveness of Medicare and Medicaid, and then the demand on healthcare providers, beneficiaries, and taxpayers is increasing. There's something in the report called the wealth health gap, and this is talking about how technology is playing a key and how social determinants can really have an effect. So the first one is talking about precision medicine, so the ability to personalize medical treatments, products, and intervention. This is increasing, but it's also very costly. So it's not necessarily available to everyone who needs or could benefit from it. There's also been a lot of work in biotechnology and genetic engineering. Scientists are using technology and they're getting closer and closer to being able to go beyond treatment of specific injury and or diseases, and they're working on trying to be able to go in and genetically alter that so people don't even necessarily have to be born with those diseases. Those treatments, if and when they are released, they're going to be costly and it's not going to be available to everyone. So that's what they were talking about with the health wealth gap. Okay, so everyone who's on this side of the room, on the left side, there will be an orange folder. If you could open that up and take one of those sheets inside and then pass it down to your neighbor. This is, what you are going to be looking at here is a county snapshot of Wood County. And what it's going to be talking about the percentage of Alice, the household composition, the survival budget, and employment information. So I want you to take a couple minutes to review that. If there's anything that surprises you or anything that you weren't really surprised about, kind of think about that. I'll be looking to the group for feedback. So again, it's a two-sided document. Does everyone have one? Hopefully it counted correctly. If not, I have more. Does everybody have one? Good, everyone has one? You don't? Okay. You need, okay. All right. I'm going to be unmiked for a second. So go ahead and take a look at those county pages.
Okay.
Did someone else over here need one? Okay, I'll put it right here. Feel free to talk to your neighbor for a little bit if you want.
Fond du Lac County is quite a drive. Iron County is quite a drive. This one? Yeah. How about you?
Okay, so what are you finding? What popped out at you? Who was brave enough to share with the group? The percentage of population of people in poverty in Wisconsin Rapids. Other?
18% increase statewide from 2010 to 16 compared to a 9% inclination nationally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that means Wisconsin's doubling it.
Mm-hmm. Any other? Okay. Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
So this hourly wage for the household, is that $30.70 per adult?
No, that would be total. The question was, is the 3070 for the family of 4 in Wood County, is that per person? And it is not. It is for the total for the household. Any other questions? All right. So I've been sharing with you Alice asset limited income constrained and employed, touching base that these individuals are working and earning above the federal poverty level, but still not earning enough to be able to support themselves for what they need for their basic household necessities. So you're saying, okay, Emily, you've shared all this information, you shared all these pretty graphs, all these statistics. Has anyone thought, what's United Way doing? Anyone have that thought at all? No? Oh, okay. Well, yes? Okay, then you're right on track with the presentation here. Fantastic. Oh, sorry, I'm not used to my mic. Okay, so I'm going to be going over with you just an overview of what United Way is doing to support Alice households in our community here. And then we are going to jump into a activity together. So community impact to help Alice, this is what our United Way of Southwood and Adams County is working to make sure that Alice has access to affordable, high-quality early childhood education. We want Alice youth to learn in positive, supportive school environments, preparing them socially and emotionally for the future. We want to make sure Alice has the tools and support needed to build assets and ultimately to become financially stable. And we want to make sure Alice has access to training and jobs that provide a family-sustaining income. And lastly, we want to make sure Alice caregivers have access to information, education, resources, and services in the community and in the workplace. Don't get overwhelmed when you see the next slide. All right, so what are we doing in regards to education? We are supporting youth through personal growth, character development, and academic achievement, and helping to provide further funding for quality, affordable childcare and in positive, safe environments. We are facilitating the Early Years and Youth Success Coalitions here in our community. We're providing funding to programs that support children's overall well-being. We're providing educational materials to families through collaborations of Stuff the Bus, Stuff the Desk, and also the Great Book Giveaway. The United Way of Southwood and Adams County's Women's Leadership Council runs 2 programs. One is called their Learning for Life Reading Mentor Program. This is where we are partnered with about 5 elementary schools around the community, and mentors go in once a week and read with children from ages kindergarten through 3rd grade. We know the schools are doing a great job, but we want to help support them. We want to make sure that children are reading proficiently by the end of 3rd grade. We also have, Women United also funds the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. This is a program for any child who resides in Southwood County to receive a free book starting at birth up until the age of 5. They receive a book in the mail each month to help build their home library. Through our income, we're also providing funding for quality child care programs. These are through our funded partner programs. For income, we are supporting financial stability through providing resources for individuals in our community in the hopes that they can become financially independent. We facilitate a coalition in our community called the Financial Stability Coalition. We also provide funding to programs that support financial literacy in our community. And we also help provide access to resources like My Free Taxes. My Free Taxes is an online state and federal funding tax program. It's a partnership between United Way Worldwide and H&R Block Corporate, so it's not H&R Blocks here in the community, but corporate H&R Block. And for any households in 2017 that earned $66,000 or less, they were able to file their taxes electronically, state and federal, free of no charge. We had 66 residents participate in this program, and we had an average refund amount of a little over $1,600. And the average age of the individuals who used that program the average age was 39 years old. Through health, we're supporting dementia-friendly community awareness, helping with the cost of prescription medications, and we help to connect those in the community to options for healthy lifestyles. We have our Family-Wise Prescription Discount Program, which helps offset the cost of prescription drugs up to 75%. It's a discount, like I said, a discount card that helps the uninsured or underinsured. We've been running this program since 2008, and since that time, residents in Southwood County and Adams County have saved $507,472 on the cost of their prescription medications. We also facilitate the Supportive Community Health Services Roundtable. In that group, we are really working to improve the quality of life for specific populations with an identified need. We also provide funding for healthy lifestyle programs through our funded partner programs. For food, we are focusing on minimizing hunger in Southwood County. We want to make sure that we're providing awareness that hunger is an issue in our community and that we're connecting those looking for food with resources in our community. We're doing this by facilitating the Hunger Coalition. This collaborates with quite a number of nonprofits, government agencies, and overall just concerned community citizens. And we want to make sure we are providing food to those who are in need in the community while working to reduce hunger in our community. We're providing funding to partner programs that provide food or a meal in the community, and we're also creating awareness through our annual event called United We Can. It's in partnership with the Wisconsin Rapids Rafters. We do different businesses and organizations are invited to join us. They build very large sculptures made completely out of food. It's quite impressive if you haven't seen it. And we have been successful in leveraging thousands of pounds of food each year. And we give that food to the local food programs here in our community. This year we were given the opportunity to try a new game with fans in attendance that evening called the Miracle Minute. We had 1 minute to pass around buckets around the entire stadium, and we were able to collect from the generosity of our community a little over $1,200. So in addition to the thousands of pounds of food that was donated, we also were able to donate that money back to the food programs because purchasing food can be very costly as well. Through Emergency Shelter, we're supporting community awareness and helping with area housing needs through various programs in the community. United Way sits on the Southwood County Homelessness Coalition, and this group is collaborating with different organizations and businesses to work towards the goal to eliminate homelessness in our community. We provide funding for emergency rental assistance and also domestic violence shelter through our community partner programs. And we help to organize volunteers and participate in an event called the PIT, or Point in Time Count. This happens twice annually. It's done in January and also in July. Thanks, Kate. And it's an opportunity, there's training and then they go out literally in the middle of the night and it's very well organized. People go out and they actually look for people who may be homeless in our community. If they do come across someone, they are asked to participate in a survey, a voluntary survey, and then they're given some resources that evening. If you haven't done it, I encourage you to think about doing it. Another way we support, providing support to Alice is through 211. This is a source of information and referral for people looking for community services and programs. Who here, be honest, who has never heard of 211 before? It's okay if you haven't. Fantastic, that's great, okay. Does anyone ever call 211 either for themselves or for a client or a friend or someone? Show of hands. Okay, awesome. So another aspect that kind of that's part of the 211 is called our annual help guide. This is a brochure that's found, we try and make sure it's all over the community. It lists different resources for different things. If people need help with paying for childcare, if they need help with food, if they need help with credit counseling, if they need help paying for their utilities, all those different things are in there, and that's pulled from the 211 database. We do have a large database to assist with the concerns that the community has. And we also use this to identify where the needs are the greatest and where there are gaps in services. As attending today, I get to share some very exciting news with you in regards to 211. So in the past, we've all called 211 if you needed to access these resources. But I'm excited to share with you today that now, starting now, you could do it right now if you wanted to, you will be able to text 211. Yeah, right? So here are your different options for accessing 211. So if you would like to call, you don't have to hit star, you don't have to hit pound. You just dial 211 on your phone. Like if there is an emergency, you dial 911. If you want resources, dial 211. If you would like to text or you know someone who would prefer to text and not be on the phone, they can text 898-211. And then they will be able to receive text responses back Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you want to search the 211 database, that's available through our website, and I included that link here as well. But if you go to our United Way website, that's available there. So again, texting is now available. And if you have any questions about that afterwards, you can see me after the presentation. Okay, so I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to give you guys an opportunity now to put yourself in the shoes of an Alice household. So what I would like you to do is I need you to pair off, and I believe there's an even number of you here today, so I need you to find a partner. What I'm going to do is once you have your partner, if you can raise your hand, I'm going to come around and hand you a green sheet, and I'm going to hand you 2 packages of candies. I know, candy. You need to unwrap those and you need to count out 20. If you have leftovers, you can eat the leftovers, but you need to have 20. So go ahead, find a partner, and then when you're partnered up, raise your hand and I'll come around and drop off your supplies to you. Okay, who's got a partner? This is your budget. Keep 20. Yes. You need 20. If there's leftovers, you can nibble on them. Okay. You need 20. 20. Okay. You guys are paired up. Sorry, I'm going to sneak behind you, Laura. Okay, so you need 20 of these. If there's leftovers, you can nibble on them. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if they do.
Oh, we're back over?
I guess so.
Okay.
You need 20. You guys paired up here. You guys are paired here. Okay, here's your budget. It kept falling off my hand. 80-20. All right. Here. Okay, you'll need to unwrap. You need to use 20 for your budget. Guys are here. Perfect. All right, you need 20 for your budget. All right, ladies, you'll need 20 for your budget here. There you go. Hello, ladies, you'll need 20 for your budget. There you go. You're welcome. You guys paired here? Okay, you will need 20 for your budget. 20 for your budget. Oh. And then you will need to unwrap. You need 20 total for your budget. So if there's leftovers, you can nibble on those. All right. You guys going to be here? Okay. So I don't know if you want to pull up to a table or not. You'll need 20 for your budget. You'll have to line those up. Perfect. Okay. There you are. So you need to unwrap these. You'll need 20 for your budget. Hello. All right, you could, if you want to work at this table, you can. You're probably going to want a table. You're going to unwrap these. You need 20 for your budget, okay? And I will take these out of the way here, and you can work there. Okay, does everyone have their 20 for your budget? Okay, listen carefully because sometimes there's some confusion with this. So here's what we're going to do. You and your buddy here, for this exercise, you are going to be spouses for your household, okay? You are married, you both work, you have a son who's 8 and a daughter who's 4, and you're caring for an aging parent. Husband and wife both work at average wage jobs. One has 2 part-time jobs, and that's listed right here in case you forget, okay? What you're going to need to do with your budget and with your spouse for the activity, is you are going to need to decide how you want to distribute your budget of your 20 candies, okay? There are different categories. There's an after-school program, childcare, food, this is per person, health, housing, senior assistance, spending money, and transportation. You must make a decision for each category, okay? You cannot skip categories. For the food, going across, you'll see column A is 1 piece of candy, column B is 2 pieces of candy, and column B is 3 pieces of candy. So for the after-school program, if you want your kiddo to be there 5 days a week after school program with educational and enrichment activities, you need to put 3 candies in that square, okay? Does that make sense to everyone? All right, for the food, when you're making this selection, it is not per person. So if you want to have 3 meals a day plus snacks, you just put 3. You do not have to put 12. Okay? So I'm going to give you guys about 7 minutes to talk it over with your partner. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand and I can come around and answer that for you. Not a problem. Well, let's see, in Wisconsin Rapids, they have half day 4K, so. Unless you, but 4K is optional, so it depends if you choose that you want your kiddo to be in 4K or not. Oh. I'm not aware of any programs here that offer full day 4K. I think it's all half day.
And it doesn't say that.
Right.
I need all.
Did you get it? You got it?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, my God. Thank you. Thanks for catching that. You know, you review those things like 500 times. I can change it for the next two things. You guys have it figured out?
Spend it all.
You spend it out? Okay, sounds good. Okay, how are we doing? Anyone else need more time? Does anyone else need more time? Okay, we'll give you one more minute. So just as a heads up, as you're talking with your spouse, I would like you to start thinking, because I'd like feedback from the group about if there were any of those choices there that were really difficult and how you came about resolving those. So one more minute. Think about if there are any of those categories that were really hard for you to make a decision on, and then how you came about coming to that decision. We're gonna bring it back together now. Spouses? Okay. So, how was that? You can just shout it out.
Terrible when you disagree with each other.
Oh. It's terrible when you disagree with each other. I'm going to be repeating things just so everyone can hear. What else? What was really hard for you and your spouse to make choices about?
Making sacrifices,
Okay, how so?
choosing if you want to have a vehicle to get to work or 3 meals a day for your kids.
Yeah, having to choose if you are going to have a vehicle to get to work, or having 3 meals a day. Yes?
Whether your health care is gonna cover your kids or just the adults.
Yeah, whether your health care will cover kids or just the adults. What else?
What type of child care for the youngest one?
What type of childcare? Yes,
Spending money left over after your bills are paid.
spending money. Anyone have disagreements with their spouse, like, and then how did you come about with making the decision?
We ran out of time.
Oh.
They're filing for divorce.
Yes.
I just think that most couples in a situation like this, they would work different shifts so they wouldn't need so much daycare for either the grandparent or the kids. So what you have is families don't have much time together.
That's a good point. Absolutely. How are you? Yes, go ahead.
We definitely had to prioritize between what we do for children versus our aging parent. They kind of took the brunt of a lot of financial decisions was the aging parent.
So making that tough choice between what you're doing for childcare and how you're helping it with that aging parent. How did this make you feel when you were making these choices with your spouse? I hear a lot of whispering. There's no wrong answer.
Some frustration.
Some frustration, okay?
Grateful for what I already have, and that I don't have to make these hard choices right now in my life.
Great. All right, so life happens, right? The price of gas has just doubled. You need to remove one of your tokens from your budget. Again, you need to have a selection in each of your categories. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do this. Don't look at me like that. Did you make your adjustment yet? Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm going to call on you guys first. Yes.
How are we supposed to know how from my understanding that it comes with procedures and things like that that you can put them in. So either, you're making it look like the grandparent could just be home, yes, right. They could have part-time at home, right, but they could still be co-parenting to make sure that they're doing something.
Yeah, it doesn't, and unfortunately doesn't go that specific with that, but that brings up a very good point though, for thinking about it. So you'll just have to work amongst your spouse and child here too.
See, we're thinking that,
We can not just cover them at all.
No, you have to have something in each category.
So that has to going more there. Because I would say
will that be
either take it down to 20 or
Did you make your choice? I don't have more to give right now, I'm sorry. Did you make your choice? Okay, sounds good. Did you guys make your choice? Okay. Did you guys make your choice? All right. Okay, bringing it back to the large group. Spouses. Hey, that works. All right. Does anyone else, did everyone adjust their budget? Yes, okay. Gentleman in the front, what was you, because you were one of the first ones done, what did you do?
We started out having $50 a week for spending money, so we just cut that down to the next level.
Okay, so they cut down their spending. Anyone else do that? Show of hands. Started with the most and then just went one column over, okay. Who else? Yes.
If I'm the housing person, I would say if you have a house and you have shelter, do you really need a large living area, or can you sustain with a smaller living area? So we went from a larger house to a smaller house.
Okay. They went from a larger house to a smaller house. Anyone else? Yes.
We went down to one vehicle. You cut the gas too. So, and if you make other adjustments, it depends on where you live and whatnot.
Okay, so they cut down to one vehicle. Anyone else do anything differently? Yes.
We sent the 8-year-old to their grandparents.
Okay.
Only because it seemed like, I'll say why, logically to move or to cut down other things, you already have probably a car payment. So that seemed to be like the quickest way to shift.
Okay, great.
Like moving would incur other expenses and
Sure.
it's not just.
So they adjusted childcare because it would not be as costly as an adjustment as a change than some of the other options. Anyone else? Okay, well, we're walking along and 2 weeks later, your bank account, your family's bank account is wiped out due to identity theft. You cannot pay this month's mortgage. You now need to take away 3. As a friendly reminder, you need to have something in each of those categories. You are living in Southwood County. You are living in Southwood County for this exercise. Thank you for coming. Absolutely. You believe it's done? Okay, sounds good. Did you make your adjustments with your budget? Made your adjustments? Okay, good. You guys make your adjustments? You're set? Okay. You guys all set? Done? Okay. You guys all set? Okay. Yeah, 4. All set? Okay. All set? All set. Are you guys all set? Okay. All right, spouses, come back together. Okay. So, how was that? What was it? Hard? Okay, so what did you do?
We started to fill in the details of our scenario, so we would be eligible for other benefit programs or whatever.
Okay, they started filling details of their scenario so they could become more eligible for community resources and programs. Okay, so where did you make adjustments with your budget then?
We adjusted and have our 8-year-olds being cared for by the aging parent.
Okay.
We also had our spending money decrease.
So spending money in
We went off on a
childcare.
tangent on maybe one of the part-time employment positions would be caregiving for the aging parent, and then therefore you'd be home, and there would be a lot of different.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
But all-
Other spouses, households,
We just cut back on childcare.
cut back on childcare?
Yeah, we went with the neighbor. And our aging grandparent, so both of those areas, that's where we cut back.
Okay, cut back on aging parent and childcare. Anyone else?
We did some of those, but then we did cut back on our health care for, even though that was difficult to do, but we decided to make sure that the person, full-time person, at least maintain their health care themselves, maybe not for their family, but that was a risk, I know.
Anyone else? Yes?
I think that's what's interesting is we're trying to figure out what we want to keep the 3 pieces of candy, and it's really putting out what's more valued in our opinion.
Exactly.
So we have 3 pieces of candy still in 3 meals and healthcare. So those are the only 2 that we have in the column that we're valuing more important, but we're willing to make sacrifices on the others.
And we have 3 left in childcare, where we felt it was important to have the child start early, preparing the child for school.
Anyone else still have 3 in a column? Okay. Good. How did that make you feel? I know people are saying that was tough, but how were you feeling when you were having to make those decisions with your spouse?
Glad I didn't have to actually make those choices
Okay.
in my life.
Yes?
Honestly, thinking about how many families in our community don't even have the C column as an option.
So she said, thinking about all the families in our community that don't even have the C column as an option.
Yeah. And it's really not fair. We're not being dropped down because of poor decisions or whatever of our own. This is, somebody else did this to us.
Right. Saying it wasn't fair, didn't have control over the situation. Okay, thank you for participating and sharing with that. For those of you, you can eat your budget now. For those of you who you're looking, if you're going to a dinner party or having lunch with a pal and you would like to tell them about this, there is an online version of this exercise that we did, and this is the website for it. If you go to our website and under Community Impact, you select Alice, to the right another menu option will appear called Making Tough Choices. This is something you can do on your phone. So you can share that. You could do it at an upcoming family event too if you want. But I challenge you to share this exercise with 3 people you know. That's your challenge leaving today. Yes?
Should the HTTP
I don't know. Here, I'll
I was just able to type in those snacks and got makingtoughchoices.org and it got me right there. So
Okay.
without the HTTP.
So real quick, because we have time, I will show you through our website. Oh, if I can type, sorry. Oh my goodness.
And the reason that I actually, we had a police officer, detective, come and talk to us. And he told us that if it didn't have the S on the end, that it was not a secure site.
Oh, okay. Well, let's take a look here. So this is the United Way of Southwood in Adams County. This is our United Way website. So if you want to, yes. So if you hover over Community Impact and go down here, you'll see Alice. And then if you click on this right here, this will take you to the Making Tough Choices simulator for Wisconsin. This is going to be the page that comes up. You just click start. It gives you your scenario here, pretty similar to what we just did here. And then you can go through and you'll have to choose your job, and this is your hash mark to keep track if you can make it through the month. And there are different scenarios that come up each time. So that's the Making Tough Choices virtual. All right.
And I just started working through it. I didn't have to enter any personal information.
No, you don't
So
enter any
I
personal
wouldn't be
information.
concerned about it not having the S and being a secure site.
Yes. And that's something United Way Wisconsin provides, so I will talk to them. I'll inform them about that. Thank you for that information. So I want to thank all of you for coming today. I know you all have busy work schedules, and I really appreciate you coming out to hear and learning more about the Alice population, not only here in Southwood County, but across the state and also across our country. There's a saying that goes, if you work hard enough, you'll be okay. But after today's presentation, I hope that we all can take a step back and realize that even if we work hard, it still doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be okay. So I have a challenge for you. I challenge you to talk to 3 people about what you learned today from Alice. If you have any questions in regards to today's presentation, you can definitely reach out to me at the United Way office, or you can come up to me after the presentation. I'd like to thank McMillan Library for hosting our event today. I would also like to thank Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. They have been filming our presentation today, and it will be available for other community members who aren't able to join us today to view it through their cable access channel. Yes?
Is this done in the same format that it was last time? So if we went to the state, it would be the full report with every county in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes. So, yes. Excellent question.
Is that linked on your website?
It is, and I can show you where that is real quick because we have time because I ended early. So, are there any other questions at this time? Yes?
Yeah, with everything that is being done by United Way, are there other areas of unmet needs? Where you can use assistance from other organizations, or something that's not being looked at all yet?
I think something that makes Southwood County so unique is the collaboration that this community offers to work on problems that are affecting a lot of our community residents. I don't think United Way is not the only solution for all these issues. I think that it's going to take a lot of collaboration and different sharing of different resources to be able to help support the Alice population in our community. Does that help answer that? Okay. All right, so if you would like to view the full Alice report, again, we are at our website, uwswac.org. If you hover over the Community Impact tab, and then go down to Alice, and you click on Alice. If you scroll down, it just gives a little overview of what Alice is. But then there's 3 different links here. So the Alice report is here, and through this report, it's about a 63-page document. But in the back, on the back of the report, it lists every single county's Alice demographics. I actually printed off a copy of the report, and I have it here, so if you would like to take a look at that after the presentation, you can. It says 224 pages, but most of those are county pages. I'm going to try and scroll to the bottom here. Sorry. So for example, and it goes alphabetically. So they've got Alice and Manitowoc County, and it goes through all the different counties in the state. Okay? Yes?
I just noticed the Department of Aging has the adult daycare and the lunch site, and also all their offices, and everything is located together so they can work. And Pitch School will be abandoned by the Boys and Girls Club next year, and I just think that we could put the food pantry in there, we could put free clothing in there, we could put like maybe a day site where people could go in who are homeless and take a bath and wash their clothes. Or we could even have nighttime care, because it would be a larger facility, and you could have people working there. I think putting things together so that there's one location that takes care of the people, that would be a really good thing. We don't have much here. Like, we've got the food pantry, and we've got, cheaper clothing, like Career Closet gives out some, and then, but we don't have it together, so people have to run around the city to try to get these services. And I think it would be really good to have a central location for poverty care. It's just an idea, because Pitch School will be available.
Thank you. Yes.
These reports, like, this is for 2016, so like in 2019, there'll be a report for the data from 2017.
I do not know what the timeline will be for the future reports, but I do imagine there will be future installments of the report. Any other questions? Great, well, thank you again, everyone. I really appreciate it. And if you have any other questions, please come on up and have a great rest of your day.